Okay.
I guess we'll do real intro first. You want to start with the welcome? Excuse me, ma'am. Is that copyright-free music?
Welcome to Pushing Past Polite, where we talk about what matters and make the world more just. I'm Kori.
And I'm Laura, and we're so glad you're here. Today, we are taking our last episode a step further. We talked a bit about our feelings around pregnancy last episode, and similarly wanted to let people know today that we're going to be continuing this conversation to talk about our birth stories, which were interesting for sure. But we want to be sensitive to the fact that this might be particularly triggering to people who've experienced challenges in this space. And so we want to let you know that if today's episode feels like too much, to skip ahead, check us out next time, and take care of yourself. That's a priority. So thanks for that. And let's do this.
Oh.
We're talking babies.
Babies.
We're talking earthside transitions. We're talking placenta. I'm just kidding. Hopefully we're not talking about placenta.
Oh my gosh,
too much.
did we not talk about the fact that with G, I did have them take my placenta and
encapsulate
my placenta? Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, and then they also made like this broth drink.
You've lost me. Blah.
Yeah, it was like, it was kind of cool. J came too fast, so we didn't have any time for that.
No.
We didn't have any time for that.
My friend made, she's very earthy and like, whew. They made like a jerky out of her placenta and she ate it that way.
Oh.
Do you see my face?
I do.
She told me this and I was like, I cannot hide my feelings right now.
Yes. I think that might be a little much, the jerky for me, but the capsules, and then it was like this spicy broth, like ginger, cayenne, all kinds of good stuff that you need.
Yeah.
And it helps, to boost your productivity around your milk and all that sort of stuff.
I'm going to go take a Pepto-Bismol after that thought. Like,
Please.
I just need a little settling. I just did a loop-de-loop.
No.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
All in there.
Well, it's a state. Buckle your seatbelts, friends. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Kori, last time we talked a little bit about your first birth experience, but the second one was really different, right?
Yeah. I told you we almost didn't make it to the hospital.
Yeah. Fast delivery.
Mm-hmm.
No medication for that one.
No, the doctors and the nurses were both like, thanks for letting us participate in your birth because.
So we had to cash a check for insurance and you pretty much did it yourself.
Yeah, I had after I had delivered, they came to my room and was like, yeah, so we don't have any information about you. Because I couldn't even sign paperwork.
You hadn't even done pre-registration?
No, because I got diverted. I did not deliver at the hospital I was supposed to deliver at because the hospital I was supposed to deliver at was full.
That is bizarre to me.
Mm-hmm. And that happened. So with the first baby, when I went to go see my OB at my 6 weeks, after, she said, you're really lucky that you delivered when you did, because had you delivered when the baby was due, you would have had to go to a different
because
hospital.
Of how many people are expecting at that point in time.
And so the hospital was full and they were diverting people. And the hospital that I delivered my second baby at was not a Kaiser hospital at that time. And so I would not have been able to deliver there with my first baby, which is like the next closest hospital for maternity.
This leads to so many conversations about our healthcare system. This is wild. This is going to be another episode for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you were unmedicated, came in, and it was pretty much like, hello, here's my second child.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've told you this story, right?
Think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay. So I had very, very, very different birthing experiences, especially with the second two. I, first of all, went to birthing class and same thing, like water breaks. I'm like, yeah, little dribble. Like, I know what that means. I had no idea what that meant.
No.
I also, because I am a big girl with good size hips, I had no conception for the fact that I would not have a natural birth. Like, and when I say natural, I mean a vaginal birth. I thought for sure this is going to be fine. Why would there be a problem? I never, ever thought about birthing complications. And so at least not for myself, right? You hear about people, I'm like, well, I'm healthy and I've got big hips and I'll be fine.
I got big hips.
I got big hips and I
Cannot lie.
first child was in there a good long time. He was 2 weeks past due date, and I said, "It's time to get 2 weeks and 10 days," or something nuts. It was no.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
2 weeks. It was not 2 weeks and 10 days. I'm picturing
I was about to say they would have come for him.
no.
They would not have let him be in there for over
In my
3
head, I was
weeks.
thinking the kid's, gap in age, 2 years and 10 days. I was like, "What did I
Birthdays,
say different?" Sorry,
difference.
that's why.
Right, right,
He was
right.
2 weeks late, and I was getting increasingly impatient as again, as much as I love pregnancy, towards the end, you want out.
Yeah, but they're growing like a pound a
It's
week.
too much. It's just too much.
It's too much. It's like, yeah, now you have a 30-pound
But he
baby.
was
No,
only
thank
8
you.
pounds, 2 ounces even at 10 days late, so thank God he
Oh.
was not huge.
Oh, nice.
So, anyway, induction was scheduled because it was nothing was happening. I go, they induce me, I have some contractions, it slows down a little, nothing really happened. They sent me home at the end of the day, which, of course, is the last place you
Yeah.
wanna go as a person who just wants to give birth. "I don't wanna go,
Yeah.
please," and they were like, "Listen,
It's like a failure. Now, you know what? We
you
don't want
didn't
you here.
try
Go.
again
Go
tomorrow."
walk it
And that's what
off.
they said, "Try again
Try
tomorrow."
again tomorrow.
And I thought, "But can I just stay? Can we just keep trying?" And they said, "Listen, doctor shifts. You need to get some sleep. Just wouldn't you rather be in your own bed?" And the answer was, "Of course, I'd rather be in my own bed." Go home,
Right.
take a shower. I'm so sad. I sit down on the edge of the bed and my water breaks, just like you described. I run to the shower because I'm like, oh my God, what do I do with this situation? My husband is trying to figure out the diaper situation, trying to like fashion something to cover me up,
Right.
to get me in the car because we were about 40 minutes from a hospital at that point in time. And at that point, the
Mhm.
contractions were coming fast and furious. And so we panicked, got to the hospital, and then the contractions slowed down overnight.
Oh.
So I labored, but I labored and I told my husband, I said, "Take a nap, just go to sleep. I got this." So I was in pain, I was in pain and tired, but it wasn't intense. It wasn't picking up speed. I could tell it was slowing down. So the
Right.
next morning they induced me
Uh,
a second time. And oh, the funny thing was I went back to the same room that I had been in earlier. They hadn't even cleaned it yet. It was like, "Oh yeah, take that.
that's
Room
so
5, no
funny.
problem. It's me."
Yeah, right.
Yep.
That's me.
So, started the, induction that next morning, started picking up, felt it, needed the epidural. They came in, gave me the epidural, which was honestly a gnarly experience. I did not like that at all. A needle in your spine, mm-mm. In retrospect, probably would have just opted to try the other to go natural because it was
I was literally pushing, saying to the doctor, "Oh my gosh, why doesn't everybody do this? Everybody should get an
I
epidural. This
I'm
is the
sure had it
best."
gone the inserting that it was they had several tries in my spine. It was
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
And as soon as that
Yeah.
happened, I watched the monitors and my son's heart rate started like they had a hard time finding it consistently. And so epidural was in, but it had just started taking. And the doctor came in,
Mhm.
checked, and instead of feeling his head, they felt his nose, which meant he was coming out a facial
Mm.
presentation, which had they delivered that way, it would have
Mhm.
broken his neck. So
Right.
it turned into a full court press, like, emergency situation, pushed him back up, and then took me to the emergency room for the C-section. Husband was not allowed in because they weren't sure if the epidural had taken. I know, right? And so the hospital was beautiful. It had just opened, brand new facility, but I could hear people as I'm laying on the table freaking out thinking, "This is not supposed to happen. This is not supposed to happen. I have big hips. Why is this happening?" Um, I hear them say
You
I
and your
got big
hips.
yeah, Shakira and we get along well. Um, I'm hearing them say things like, "No, no, no, not that drawer over here. No, not that cabinet."
Oh, 'cause they can't buy anything 'cause
Everything's new.
everything's
So I was
new.
like, "I'm dead. I'm dead. I hope we sign the insurance
Yeah.
paperwork. I don't know what to do."
Mhm.
All this to
Mhm.
say,
You're like, "I'm so glad I'm a state employee. I have some pension that Bernie will be okay."
release the cost of the mortgage for a little while, and I don't need a funeral. Just do
Right,
the thing.
right.
Um,
Right,
I'm making
right,
light, but
right.
I really did think it was the end.
No, that sounds terrifying, particularly it's like you're by yourself, like, your partner
Yes.
wasn't with you, and it's already stressful, the heart rate is low, your spinal experience was not
Mm-mm.
good, and now you just are hearing chaos and you can't
That's
see
exactly right.
anything.
It was a lot.
Yes, that That's a
So,
lot.
all this to say, it was fine. My poor baby came out so bruised from this whole experience. He looked 10
Yeah.
rounds like with Mike Tyson coming right out. His APGAR scores were
Yeah.
really low at first. After an hour, he pinked up. He was beautiful. It was fine. Um,
Yeah. That's it, the APGAR
yes.
scores.
You now can
Yeah.
probably understand why with my second two, I elected C-sections because I wanted a
Mhm.
date. I wanted control. I wanted calm. I wanted someone to talk me through everything that was happening. This is the most Laura thing you've ever heard, is it not?
Yes, that's why I'm laughing. It's like,
I know.
this is so Laura of you. I wanna have a spreadsheet.
Yes.
I wanna have this organized. I want to know who's gonna be performing the surgery, so we're gonna select the time. I wanna know the room. I wanna have all yeah,
I
that's very
selected the
Laura of
date. I
you.
select all of this. And
Yes.
it was the most
Yeah.
for me, again, I never had a traditional vaginal birth. Part of me wishes I had experienced that, but at the same time, birth is birth. And I was healthy. It was safe for my children. And it to me, it reduced all the anxieties that I had experienced that first time.
Let me just say this. The fact that you had more children after your experience says volumes, right? So, however you needed to create the space for you to be able to give birth to those said children is what
Yeah.
you need to do. Like, I know people who've had traumatic birthing experiences and they're like, yeah, I ain't having
Mhm.
any more kids because that was just
Yep.
too much. And so I don't want to even consider this
Yep.
again. Or, even though it may be different. So the fact that you had two more children is already like a huge move on your part because you could have very easily been like, okay, he came out, he's
Yep.
healthy,
No more
we're
rolling the
healthy,
dice.
like we're good,
Yep.
right? Right, husband, we're good, right?
I know. I know. It was
Yeah.
a lot, but I will say, um, wonderful experience in retrospect for sure. I mean, even the care that I
Mhm.
got during, that obviously the confusion in that emergency room the first time or that operating room the first time was really gnarly. But the care that I got afterwards, and I stayed in the hospital probably 4 days, right? Because C-section, it's a little longer than a traditional
Mhm.
vaginal birth.
Yeah.
I felt so cared for and so loved and had the most wonderful nurses, and our pediatrician was wonderful,
Yes.
and that again, to your point, you can look back and say that was a really redeeming experience. That was a freak thing that happened,
Mhm.
and that I received great care. Both things are true. It was traumatic and it was beautiful.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it changed me forever. Just changed you forever.
Yeah. And my second one, I had the most beautiful care too, I would say.
Mm,
I requested the hospital that I went to because I knew they were in the network now, and my 3 of my cousins
mm.
gave birth there, and so I was like, "I know that this is a place. This is a place." And when I ha like I said, we
Yeah.
almost didn't make it, okay? Like, I checked into the hospital at 10:21 and I was holding the baby at
That's
10:35.
freaking incredible. He did not stop for coffee, did he?
Yeah.
Husband did not even try this time.
No, no. I mean, I was like, "If you don't stop fucking texting right now and drive the car and get us there." Like,
You
I was
knew.
in,
You
like
knew.
yeah, yeah. I was in, like, an outer body experience almost, it felt like, you know what I mean? Like, my plug dropped at, like, 4 in the morning or 6 in the morning. I came downstairs, my husband was downstairs. I was like, "Hey, my water didn't break, but this is, I think, the mucus plug, so, we are on baby
Heads up. Start
watch,"
yeah.
right?
Start the CNN ticker. It's time.
Yeah, like, we're on baby watch. It's time. So he was like, "Alright, cool. Well, I have a couple jobs this morning, and then I'll come back home." And I was like, "Okay." My parents were here. I wasn't having any contractions, like, there wasn't anything, and the last baby
Right.
took forever, right? So I was like, "Okay, yeah, we have a little bit of time." So, I came downstairs. I went back to bed for a little bit because I was like, "This is not my water breaking. I know that now. It's not
Yes.
continuously gushing." And so, I came downstairs to make breakfast for myself and my son, and my husband texts and he's like, "Hey, you should probably call the doctor." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm actually on the phone with them now." And so I'm talking to the nurse, and she and I are cackling like old girlfriends. I was like, "Yeah." While I'm
Oh, no.
talking to her, I start having
Oh,
contractions,
yeah.
like, while I'm talking with her. And the hospital I was supposed to deliver at was full. So she and I are calling each other back and forth because she's now trying to find a hospital for me to go to. And So I'm making the breakfast. I hadn't packed any bags because this is a little early. He was supposed to be in for like another week and a half or 2 weeks. And so I make the breakfast with my son. My parents are here, like I said. But my son knows something's
Mm,
going on. So he's starting to kind of freak out. And so I had 3 tasks. I was breathing through contractions, packing my bag, and consoling my baby.
yeah.
Right. And
Keeping
so
him calm. Absolutely right.
keeping him calm. And so I would just like stop and breathe, like let the contraction pass. And so now we're waiting for my husband to get home. And my dad says to me, "How far apart are those contractions?" I'm like, "I don't know, bro. I'm trying to do
I'm
all this other
consoling a
stuff."
kid and making eggs.
Yeah, I'm like making eggs, consoling a baby, packing a bag, and breathing through contractions. When am I supposed to be
Yeah.
timing these things? They were 2 minutes apart
Oh shit, Kori.
and a minute long.
Yeah, you needed to go, is right. Thank God for Chip.
Yeah,
Dr. Chip.
Dr. Chip. So he got dressed.
Let me guess, not in hard shoes and a vest.
No, but he gets dressed, and I was like, I do not want my dad to take me to the hospital. No disrespect to my dad, but I knew we were going to a hospital that I hadn't been to. I was like, I can't navigate all of this. Like, I can't
Yeah.
get us there, focus on myself to like I don't know where we're going. I can't. I can't. I need my husband to get here. So we were about to leave. My husband pulls up, and I was like going to jump into his truck so we could go. And his truck is full of stuff. Like there wasn't even room in his truck for me to sit, let alone put a car seat or something.
Oh
His truck is
my
completely
gosh.
full of stuff. So we get into the other car, my car, which I was planning to leave for my parents in case they needed to, because we're going to be gone
That's
for
right,
4
because they
days.
fly in. It's not like they have a
Because they
car.
fly in. Yes, right. So they're visiting from California. So I was planning to leave the car that I drive with my oldest with them so that if they need to go to the
Yes.
store, do something. But my husband's truck was so full of stuff that there was no time. He was about to go upstairs and change clothes. And I was like, we need to
This
go.
is happening. This is happening
Yes,
now.
this is happening. And so my water still hadn't broken, but my contractions were coming. And so I was like, let's go. He's sitting at a stoplight to get on the highway. I was like, if you don't run this fucking stoplight and get me to the hospital, I'm going to be throwing hands over here.
This is like worth getting a ticket for. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, they will escort us, that we will not get a ticket. If we get pulled over, they will drive
We're
us
going
to
to
the
have to name
hospital.
the baby after the police officer who pulls us if we don't hurry up.
Don't nobody
No.
want to deliver a baby on the
No,
side of the
go.
road. So a cop will escort us to the hospital.
Yes. Attract attention, husband. Attract attention.
Yes.
Get us some blue lights.
Go. So he's in there texting his mom that we're on the way to the hospital. So this is like 10 as we're driving. So anyway, we get to the hospital. I'm like, let me out. Just I don't know where I am, but just let me out. Yes.
Oh.
And so I go through some doors and there's like this welcome area. I was like, where's the maternity wing? And these 2 older people who are like the welcome people.
Volunteers. Yeah.
They're like,
we were not trained for this.
yeah. They're like, can you sit down? I was like, I can't sit down. So this older woman grabs my arm and
She knew.
and the older man who was at it, he got in front of us and they walked me all the way to the maternity ward, badging me through. Like, so I didn't have to figure it out. They walked me up.
Oh, thank God.
And the girl at the desk, once we get into the maternity part, is like, can you fill out this paperwork? I can barely move because I'm like in full active labor and I'm breathing. I'm trying to fill out paperwork. I can't even read my own writing.
I would have thrown a clipboard across the room.
And so a nurse comes and is like, yeah, we could do this later. Let's get you to a room. So she walking me to a room. As she's doing that, my husband is coming through the double doors and I'm like, thank God. So he goes back to the room with me and, like they go back out and I just like holler. My water broke. I have this crazy contraction. Everything is soaking wet. And they're like, you have to get on this table. I was like, I can't get on the table. They like pick me up.
Lift you up.
Onto the table. It's like, we have to go now. The Kaiser doctor wasn't there yet, so some other doctor is introducing themselves. A resident is introducing themselves. There's all these nurses. We go into the room, and then the Kaiser doctor comes. So it's like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Let's have this baby. And it's like,
wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
wham,
Didn't
bam,
buy you
thank
dinner
you, ma'am.
first.
Yeah,
I am
it's like
checking you out.
my mask was in the room. My phone was in the other room. My shoes were in the other room. Like, my pants were in the other room because I had like taken them off to put on a gown, but then I started, and
Yeah.
so I get into the birthing room and like the baby comes, it's like, all right, push, let's go.
Do you see my face?
Yeah.
I am stuck in shock.
When I got to the hospital, I was like, I need an epidural now. And the nurse was like, yeah, no, honey, you're having a baby now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's no time for
And
this.
so it was like, I checked in 10:21. I was holding that baby at 10:35.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. You hear these things on TV shows like, oh yeah, we gave birth in the parking lot, or we had the baby in the backseat of the car. This has never been my experience. My experience was 10 days late and you got to beg the kid to come out, and then like very clinical and clean and like prepared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow.
And so then the nurses were all talking about it. It was like, ooh, I heard about
You're the one who dropped trow, and you're the one they badged through because they thought you were going to kill somebody. You're the girl we do training videos on now. If you see these signs, open the damn door.
the door.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And so we stayed a couple days and we were right there by the Trader Joe's and stuff. It was
yeah.
But side note. So when the first one was born, it was COVID, right? Like it was right before. It was right. No, it was right before.
No, before.
Right before COVID.
February, yes.
So there's like all these people. It was Super Bowl weekend, blah, blah, blah. When the second one was born, the feisty one, that second born child, there was a tornado that touched down in Annapolis. Now, when does a tornado touch down in Annapolis? People, come on now. So we go to our room and they're like, yeah, stay away from the windows because we're on a tornado watch.
Everything I know about hospitals says they're mostly glass.
Thank you. Come on, Laura.
Huge glass.
Huge glass. The whole room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. But you and your newborn stay away from the windows because we're on a tornado watch.
And they have to have a plan for that.
And then the tornado touched down like a mile and a half from the hospital. Like,
I heard there's a new kid in this place. Oh my gosh.
But then the nurses were like, this place exploded because like the spike in the environment, I think, sent a whole bunch of women into labor.
People go into labor.
And so she was like, you're so lucky that you had your baby when you did, because now we're out of beds.
You're like, maybe my baby caused this tornado.
Yeah,
we caused the disturbance of the force. The speed at which I ran in here is probably what caused that tornado.
That's what started the tornado.
Wow. Okay, we need like a collective breath after this because this was a lot.
That was a lot.
We talked about getting knocked up. We talked about having our babies, birthing them, the traumas of that.
The joys of that.
The joys of that.
The totally different experiences of that.
And how we do it again.
Yeah, and how we do it again.
Because we loved it so dang much.
I know.
There's a mercy and forgetfulness, is there not?
There is. But I mean, the experience was so beautiful. The main reason I don't think I would have another baby is because I have habits that I don't want to break.
As in good health habits, and you don't want to put the weight back on again?
No, like bad health habits.
Like what? Oh, just kidding. You're saying you don't want to have to abstain from things for 40 weeks.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
For me, it's now being over 40.
Well,
Nobody's
that part
want me as a surrogate anyway.
That part too. But it's like, and that part too. It's like, and now other people are having babies. We're gonna have more kids around. It's fine. So it's good.
Yeah, I've taken my turn. I will say, knowing that was my final. So I did a tubal ligation with the third because it was such a surprise that rocked my husband to his core. I said, we cannot withstand another surprise.
Yes.
So I said, while I'm already open, while you've got me on the table for the C-section, let's do this.
Yes.
And I mourned that, like the fact that it's a final thing. I knew it was the right decision for me and for our family. But it was, oof.
Yeah, my husband took the L on that one for our family. It was like September. The little one was born in October. He was locking it up.
That's the right thing. If you're not already having a C-section, I think that's absolutely right. You've got enough going on in your body. You do not need that.
Yes, correct. And I got him a little, Chick-fil-A milkshake afterwards. And
Home.
we went on about our business.
He got a little band-aid and a balloon
Exactly.
and he went home.
And then he went home. Here's an ice pack. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be
I
okay.
pushed a baby out of my vagina. I don't want to hear anything from you.
No, I love you. Here's some frozen peas.
Here's some frozen peas. I don't
Take
want
a
to
day
hear
off.
about it. Or don't. You do you. But I have 2 humans to care for and that need food out of my body and things. Like I can't baby
No.
you because I have actual 2 babies. And he was actually really great. His experience was positive, and so he was
Good.
not experiencing a ton of pain. And whatever he was experiencing, he took some ibuprofen and kind of
Took it like a champ.
let it ride. And yeah.
Good guy.
Mhm.
Okay, so lessons here, global lessons. When your water breaks, go to the
Go
hospital.
to the hospital.
There is no stopping on the way to the hospital
No.
for coffee or other things. Get yourself comfortable and get that bag packed early.
Early. Get the cars cleaned out so that you
Get the
can
cars cleaned out.
jump in and go.
Yep. And what else? What else? Enjoy the nursing staff and be grateful, be kind to them by all means. But like enjoy that like transition from being just you to being you and baby and
Yeah.
get that help and
Yes,
take advantage
enjoy
of it.
the
Have
help.
people on your team to help. Yes, totally.
Mhm.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. I strongly recommend doulas. My sister used a doula. I used a doula. I recommend doulas for a variety of reasons, but one of the main ones is particularly as a woman of color and a Black woman
Yes.
who has Black women have extremely high mortality rates. Having that person as a advocate who's also just talking with you. So she was there coaching my husband on how to support me. And because I didn't always have the words, I knew that I needed something, but she was able to facilitate what those somethings were.
Yeah.
And she was also helping to translate some of the information and quell some of my anxieties when the doctor was kind of rolling in there and shaming me for not coming in right away and, whatever. Having that doula there was as particularly for my first child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Having
Well,
that
having someone
support.
who's witnessed hundreds, if not thousands
Yes.
of births to say, something's not right.
Yes.
And to look out for that for you.
Yes.
Or to bring their expertise in a perfectly fine situation
Yes.
to say, here's what you need to know, or here's what's coming next.
Mhm.
That I can imagine being invaluable. And I wish that I had done that.
Yes, it was.
But
it was
particularly for
priceless.
friends of color, I would absolutely encourage anyone
If
to
that
do
you
that.
can afford to do that.
Yes.
If like you have the means to do that, I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, because I did. I had that anxiety going in. Like, look at our 4x1 Olympians, or was our 4x4 team? Our 4x4 team.
Regardless, an Olympian in peak health.
3, 2 almost died and 1 did. From that relay team.
Wow.
3 have attempted to give birth. 2 almost died giving birth, and 1 died while pregnant. And they're 4 Black women. That is
Astounding. And alarming.
horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. The more support you can get in that space, the better.
Yes, the better.
For
The
sure.
advocacy, the support, that for sure. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for sharing that.
Oh, my
I
pleasure.
feel like I was there. I feel like I was in the room with all your people.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Twinkle Lights and Stevie Nicks
And-
and all the things,
yeah,
man.
folks were just rolling through there too. They really were. My cousin Brandy, she came through. She was our lifesaver because she was running back and forth to the house for us because it wasn't COVID, so people could come, right?
Yes.
And so I'm glad that I had a non-COVID birthing experience. And I have so much compassion and empathy for women who had COVID birthing experiences because
or have only had COVID
and have
birthing
only-
experiences. Yeah.
in the early part of the pandemic, women were giving birth by themselves. And I could not imagine what that feels like. And so to not have a partner with you, a support person with you, that you're in a room in a mask, going through all of this pain, and the people who are supporting you are strangers.
That would be incredibly hard.
Yeah, that's really difficult. And so I'm glad they evolved that
The protocols
those
around
protocols
that. Yeah.
pretty quickly to allow. It's like your partners. You can have one person; they just have to stay. Like nobody can leave. by the time my second one was born, it was later in the pandemic, so he was able to come and go. There could only be one person in the room with us at a time, but if my parents wanted to come, like, my mom could have come.
Mhm.
You know, it didn't have to be one person only that was allowed. It was
Right,
just one
right.
person at a time. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's different.
Thank God for these beautiful babies,
Yes,
and
all
for
of
the
them.
yeah, and, gosh, we have a lot between us.
Yeah,
5 between
5
us, that's a
between
lot of
us.
humans. That's
Yeah.
a lot of humans. But just again, sensitivity towards people who desire that and, for whatever reason that has not happened, or for people who've had much more traumatic experiences than we have, please know that we offer these stories just as ours and with sensitivity to your story as well. And so find people in your trusted circle that you can share that with. We can be there for them too.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one last thing, and I just making babies is hard, and there's so much of our worth tied up in our ability to do that, and I
Mm.
really think we need to shift
Decouple
that,
that.
decouple that. You know, like, I know people who are just so disappointed in themselves if they aren't able to
Yes.
get pregnant, and I also wanna add that at the time when I was conceiving, when we were early thinking about having our first son, I had Invisalign. This is gonna be a silly story, but
I'm here for it.
I had Invisalign, and I was going to this wonderful orthodontist, um, in my community, and he is a Black man, he is married, he has a family, he's just a lovely person, and one of the things that he kept saying to me is that it's the responsibility of both of us to conceive a healthy child.
Not just the
And
woman.
not just the woman. And he kept say almost every time I go, he was like, "Don't forget to remind your husband that he needs to be taking his vitamins, and he needs to be
Mm.
drinking his water, and he needs to be getting his body prepared just as much as you need to be getting your body prepared." And that was one of the first times I had heard that narrative, first of all. And
This is the first time I'm hearing that narrative.
yeah, and
I'm
especially
today years
coming
old.
from a Black male, right?
Mhm.
He That was so powerful to me because 'cause I'm like, "That's so true. This is not all on me." And so coming from a man to me, a Black woman, a Black man to me, a Black woman, telling me to be sure that my partner is also preparing because he also has a role and responsibility in the conception of this human life was so different from so much of how we talk about getting pregnant and
Yeah,
all of that.
prenatal care is entirely focused on the woman.
Yes. And so, like, that part too, right? That this is a journey has that requires contributions from 2 sides, whether it's artificial insemination or IUD or IVF, or, uh, just having sex with your partner or however it happens, right? It
Mhm,
still takes contributions from 2 from 2 parties. And
mhm,
so the health of both parties makes a difference.
mm.
And there is so much responsibility placed on the women, right? We're told all of our lives, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant. And that happens until we're about 16 or 17, 18, right? And then it's like, where are the babies? When am I going to get some babies? Where are the grandbabies? How come you haven't had any kids yet? What's going like, find
Yeah,
your husband. Let's have some babies.
take a breath.
Take a breath. It's
Yeah.
not all it the narrative is about it being on us, but that's not the truth. You know,
Mhm.
just as often couples struggle to conceive because the man has a problem, right? The man has a low sperm count. The man has an issue but the onus is often placed on the women.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I wanna just throw that out there too. That's like getting pregnant for us was not hard.
Mhm,
And that means that in that process, we found the magic and our
mhm.
bodies were in a place to receive and our partner's bodies were in a place to give and we were able to do this thing. And if you're struggling to do that, it has nothing to do with your worth or your value.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Like,
Yes.
that doesn't make you any less of a woman if you choose to not have children, if you are struggling to get pregnant, if you are not able to carry children to term. That is not on you and your worth.
That's exactly right. I know so many people for whom that's true. And I hope that that feels affirming and validating, and that we see you.
Yeah,
We see you.
we see you. And we love you.
Yeah, that too. Very important part. Whew!
Yes.
Labor, delivery, no joke.
Thank you all for hanging in there with us. Babies are miracles. Making it from the start to the end of the whole thing and have a healthy little tiny human is really a miracle and a gift. So I'm so grateful for my friend Laura having been born and us to have this opportunity and space to share, and for all of our little ones. They're just such a joy in our lives.
Absolutely. And a huge, huge, huge shout out to all the wonderful people who cared for us and coached us and encouraged us when we went through it, and hope that we can do that for other folks as well. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for pushing past polite with us and talking about something a bit vulnerable. We really enjoyed it, and we're so glad you're here. I'm Laura.
I'm Kori. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Pushing Past Polite. We encourage you to go deeper in your trusted spaces or find new space for good conversation. You'll find content to help you get started on our social media channels.
We're at Pushing Past Polite on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Pushing Past Polite is an independent podcast with Kori and Laura from Just Educators.
Our cover art was designed by Rachel Welsh DeIga of DeIga Designs, and our audio is produced by Keith at Headset Media. Until next time, don't get stuck talking about the weather. Push past polite.
See you next time.